My name is Giselle Kolenik, and I'm a lead statistician at the University of Michigan's Center for Statistical Consultation and Research. In today's lesson, I'll be demonstrating how to convert an SPSS dataset into a Stata dataset. Start by opening your SPSS dataset. As you can see, we're in Data View. We have all of our data entered in raw form. Under the Variable View tab, I can see that for each of the variables in my dataset, I have variable labels such as age of the respondent or occupational category. I also have value labels. For example, for the occupational category variable, I see that a 1 represents someone who's a managerial position or a professional position, a 3 represents someone in a service position, etc. I also see that I have some missing value codes in this dataset. Instead of having system missing variables, missing values for each of the variables are denoted by different values, such as 97, 98, 99, or in some cases, 0. To convert the dataset, we start by selecting File, Save As. The default Save As type in SPSS is an SPSS file. But we can actually go ahead and change the Save As type to a Stata dataset. I'm going to select Stata version 8 SE. Right now, Stata is on version 12. Stata version 12 can easily open a Stata version 8 file. After I select the Save As type of Stata version 8, I double check to see if the file name is what I would like it to be. I'm fine with it being called data.dta. Stata datasets have a .dta extension. Here, it wants to save my dataset on the desktop, and that's fine by me. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. If I minimize my SPSS dataset, you can see that on my desktop I have a data.dta file, which is a Stata dataset. First, I'm going to go ahead and open up Stata itself. I have a shortcut for Stata SE on my desktop. I'll open up Stata by double-clicking on this shortcut. And I'm also going to maximize my screens. To open up the Stata dataset that is a converted SPSS file, I can select File, Open, or I can select the Open folder. I'll browse to where the data is saved. Right now the data is saved on my desktop, and select Open. When the data is pulled into Stata, by investigating my variable window, I can see that the variable labels have been pulled in automatically. So this last variable of occupational category has its label just as the rest do. If I would like to view my dataset in Stata, I can select the Data Editor button underneath the Statistics tab. This shows me my dataset very similar to Data View in SPSS. What we see here in blue actually represents the variable labels that have been attached. So remember, for occupational category, the last variable, a 1 would represent someone who is a managerial or professional category. A 3 would represent, let's say, service. If I'd like to see the actual data, I can right-click and select Value Labels, Hide All Value Labels. Now I can see the actual raw data that I've entered in originally in the SPSS file. Note that in Stata, black numbers or items are in numeric form. Anything that shows up blue is a label that's been attached, and anything that shows up red is a string variable. This dataset does not have any string variables. So when I look at this dataset, I see that both my variable labels and value labels have been transferred from Stata, but we should also notice that missing values, such as 98 or 97, have not been converted over. So in SPSS, we declared that a 98 was considered a missing value. But when I look at this data set, Now that it's in Stata, I see that 98 and 97, those are added to the data set just like any other value. There's nothing to distinguish it between a 12 or an 11 in terms of running an analysis. So before this data set is ready to use, what we need to do is actually go ahead and recode the missing value codes. And here we're going to code them as system missing. It's simple to do in Stata, but what I need to do is double check with my SPSS file to see what those missing value codes are. So for some of the variables, 0, 8, and 9 represent missing values, but for others, 97, 98, and 99 represent missing values. So what I'm going to do is make both screens a bit smaller, and then I'm going to enter in some commands in Stata to convert these 97, 98s, and 99s into missing values. So I'm going to start from the top, and I see that both Happy and Life have missing value codes of 0, 8, or 9. The command I'll use in Stata is mv_decode. Next, I'll list the variables that I want to change the missing values in. That's Happy and Life. Then I specify a comma, and then mv, and then a parentheses. mv stands for missing value. Here, a 0, an 8, or 9 represent missing values. So the command is mv_decode Happy, Life, comma, mv, parenthesis, 0, 8, 9, end parenthesis. Once I execute this command, I see that there were 13 missing values generated for Happy and 537 missing values generated for Life. So I take a look at my SPSS dataset, and remember that 0 is considered a missing value, and so I do see a number of zeros. If I take a look at my Stata dataset for Happy and Life, I now see that instead of numeric values, I see system missing values. I see periods in the data view. This is exactly what we want. Now we want to replicate this process for all of the variables in the dataset. So for the SIBS variable, a 98 or a 99 indicate missing. So what I'll do is type in, again, my code, mv_decode. The variable is SIBS. My missing values are 98 and 99. Next, for my child's variable, mv_decode child's, and my missing value here is 9. For my age variable, the missing values are 0, 98, and 99. And then for education, paternal education, and maternal education, we also see that the missing values are 97, 98, and 99. So I can type in mv_decode, and then those 4 variables. And the missing values are 97, 98, 99. I have one more variable. That's our prestige variable. So mv_decode our prestige variable. The missing value is equal to 0. Now when I take a look at my data set, I should see periods in the data set. They're not actually periods, it's just how Stata displays missing values to us. And so now all the numbers in the data set are numbers that are ready to be analyzed. and I don't have to worry about missing values not being accounted for appropriately. This concludes our lesson. Thank you for watching.